This is 5 pounds of body fat. If you want to lose this or more from your stomach, I'm going to share the #1 exercise you have to be doing. Now, the stomach for most people tends to be the most stubborn area, the back rolls and the abdomen. But in this video, I'm going to share with you how you can shift it and most importantly, keep it off for good. Now, before we take a deep dive into this #1 exercise, it's important to understand how we lose body fat. And it's such a simple equation, and it's not the keto diet, it's not a fat loss pill, it's not fat burners. You have to be within what we call a caloric deficit. So you have to burn more calories than you intake. Now, when we look at this equation, we have to think, how can I make this most productive for me, right? So we break down the 4 ways in which we burn calories each day, because this is half the equation. Half is calories we eat, half is calories we burn. So the calories we burn come from 4 major areas, and the biggest one being your basal metabolic rate. This is 60% of what we call your TDEE, total daily energy expenditure. 60%, 50 to 60% comes from your metabolism, how fast your metabolism is. So if you want to speed up your metabolism and make the most of that 60% of the calories we burn in your total daily energy expenditure, here's what you have to do. #1, you have to resistance train. For every 1 pound of muscle we have, we burn 6 calories a day, but for every 1 pound of fat, we burn 2 calories a day. Calories with more muscle 3 times faster than we do with more body fat. So if you resistance train, you increase your muscle tissue, or you at least maintain it in the fat loss phase when it is vulnerable, you will burn fat faster at complete rest. So me just sitting here talking to you guys on this YouTube video, I'm burning more calories when I have more muscle on me. That simple. #2 is just sleep. It's making sure you're sleeping 7 to 9 hours of a good quality. So it's avoiding scrolling this thing straight before you go to bed. It's avoiding big carbohydrate meals just before you go to bed. You want to push that 2 or so hours prior. It's having a good sleeping environment. The right temperature, or the quote unquote best temperature, is 18.5 degrees Celsius. But you don't have to be fucking that specific, but that's kind of what is said to be the best temperature for sleep quality. Then it's your activity levels. So it's being active. It's not being a lazy fucking sitting at the desk all day and then sitting on the sofa all night. It's being active. It's going out for walks. It's trying to hit an average of 7 to 13,000 steps. If you can be within that bracket, you're in an okay place. Now, the next way we burn body fat is thermic effect of food, the calories we burn through digestion. So if we have a high protein diet, not only are you going to retain more muscle tissue to burn more calories with complete rest being your metabolism, but you're also going to be burning more calories through digestion. 20 to 30% is protein, 5 to 10% is carbs, and 10 to 15% is fats. So the higher percentage is protein. So the more protein you eat, the more calories you burn through digestion, just turning that food to a turd, right? So have a high protein diet. The next one is non-exercise activity thermogenesis, the calories we burn through non-planned activity. So everything effectively outside the gym, me chucking my hands around here, me going out for steps, etc. And then the last one is EAT. This is where most people go wrong. They put all of their focus on the gym when they're trying to lose body fat, but it's only 5 to 10% of the calories we burn every day. So exercise activity thermogenesis, so the planned activity, is only a measly 5 to 10%. So that's the 4 ways we lose body fat. Now we want to kind of look at the way we intake calories. Pretty damn simple. You eat and you drink. So one of the simplest hacks is try to avoid liquid calories. If you're having a Dragiaco, macchiato, caramel syrup, frappiano, chano from fucking Starbucks, that's fucking 600 calories, you're gonna stay fat for quite a bit longer. Those liquid calories creep up on you. The same with oils, use 1 cal spray. Same with drinks, instead of a Coke, have Diet Coke. And before someone goes, oh, it's got aspartame and it's gonna give you cancer, it's not, unless you have 20 odd cans a day. And even that, in studies of rats, is still very weak. So if you have 1 to 2 cans a day, you'll be absolutely fine. I personally have 1 Pepsi Max every single evening after I have my evening meal, because it's a nice way for me to de-wind of an evening, and I like the taste, and it's 0 calories, so it's freaking fine. So if you can get most of your food through whole foods, through protein, and focus on an 80-20 rule, so 80% through highly nutritious foods and 20% through more quote unquote junk, you'll transform faster. And I'm not saying this just from my opinion of what I've personally tried before. I'm not some fitness influencer that went to the gym for a couple of days and decided to make a YouTube video. We have a fitness coaching company. I've helped over 1,200 clients transform, and we've been featured in Forbes magazine and Apple News. So we kind of know what we're talking about. And the advice that I'm giving to you is from a perspective of both science and also practicality. what actually works with your everyday person who has career, social life, family, and a normal lifestyle. If you're talking about Sebum, for those who don't know who Sebum, you probably do, but one of the best Mr. Olympians to ever, grace the stage. Or if you are a die-hard bodybuilder, maybe you might be a bit stricter. But for Sarah, who wants to lose 15, 20 pounds, or for John, who wants to lose 52 pounds to be able to run around with his kids again, he wants a more sustainable route, and that's what we're talking about here. So 80% through whole foods gives you the right energy, the right nutrients, it gives you the right transformation targets, the right macronutrients, but then the 20% gives you sustainability, it gives you consistency, it lets you stick to the journey long term. It's realistic over 3 years, because if you can't do it for 3 years, you probably can't do it for 3 months, right? So, or if you can't do it for 3 months, you probably can't do it for 3 years. So that's an important consideration as well. Now, moving on to the best exercise for fat loss, and it's a simple one, and it's walking. And the reason walking is the best exercise for fat loss is because it is such low impact. So when you look at cardio, high intensity interval training, you do high intensity interval training for 20 minutes and it's automatically, for most people, unsustainable, and you'll be less consistent, you'll hate it, you'll be burning out both ends of your ass, and you'll be like, I can't physically keep this up for too much longer, right? So then you will give up, revert back to square one. Not to mention two things. Number one, the likelihood of awful form. If you're doing squat thrusters and you're absolutely fucked, the likelihood is that form's gonna go and you'll probably look at your elbow and have a rotator cuff injury. But also, realistically, when you gash yourself out, your recovery is going to be really poor. So then the next day's training intensity dips. Your ability to recover and train the next day with high intensity is going to be massive for your transformation journey. So walking is so low impact, number one, so recovery is absolutely fine. Number two, you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone, reducing your cortisol, because going out, get vitamin D, sunlight, getting some fresh air and going for an unplugged walk can reduce stress considerably, which reduces cortisol. So that's another reason. And the third reason, you can just go out with a podcast and just relax and go for a stroll, and you can do it with friends. You can make it a social thing. On the weekend, you go for a long walk with a friend. You can kill 2 birds with 1 stone, catching up with a friend when you may have just had a coffee. Grab that coffee and go walk with it instead. These small little habits can be a game changer. So some of the stuff that we say to our clients is, if you're working from home and you have calls, not necessarily Zoom calls, but you have phone calls, can you maybe go out and get some steps or walk around your house as you're taking that phone call? Can you maybe make sure that if you are running a business or you're focused in career, for the human brain to focus on a task specifically for 20 minutes, but we do 90-minute blocks primarily, beyond 90 minutes isn't very productive at all. The human brain and your cognitive performance will reduce drastically. So at that point, if you're now able to go out every 90 minutes for a 15-minute walk, your productivity will increase. You'll get more done in less time at work anyway, if you need more incentive. And then what we try and say to most people is, instead of going from 3,000 straight to 12, it's unrealistic. Can you maybe add 1,000 a day, maybe 1,000 every other day, and just slowly and incrementally bring your steps up, and before you know it, you'll be getting loads more steps in, you lose fat faster, and then this thing will be gone for good. So what I just shared with you is a simple and sustainable way, backed by science and practical, with over 1,200 normal clients we've worked with, to help you transform. And if you like that type of content, you should probably subscribe or keep watching the podcast on YouTube, because I hit you with it every single week. And I'll see you in the next episode.